Sorry about that. Hello, I'm OTM Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share, because why not? Very serious topic today. I'm noticing some things, especially my last live was about the Epstein nonsense. And I think there's a underlying problem that's being ignored in it. And I want to address it in a careful way because there's certain language that you can't use while talking about the community. There's a whole community out there, and it's the LGBTQ plus community. I'm not worried about the L or the G, LGB. I'm not worried about the first three. My concern is when you get to the T and on that we have issues. Now, disclaimer, I do not have a problem with trans people. My issue is the ones who want to involve children in it. And that's what the topic of today's live is going to be. Very serious. Like I said, trigger warning for parents because it's going to get, my presentation is going to frustrate you when you see what's really going on out there. And a lot of people have seen it, but I don't think people have seen how bad it is getting. They're doubling down now that Trump won because they had free reign during the Biden administration. And when he lost, it looked like all was bad, but they're doubling down on all their bad ideas. And now they are openly saying they're coming for your kids. So the title of today's live is T's and Pluses are coming for your kids. Make no mistake about it. I'm warning you now, you're going to be frustrated. So what we're going to start off with today. Hello, Ms. Lovey. How you doing, young lady? We're going to start off with a guy who started this whole movement with a simple question, and all he did was ask, what is a woman? And they couldn't answer it. They still can't answer it. And he figured out that they technically could answer it, but they won't answer it because it undermines their entire movement. When the real movement is coming after your children. And I'm going to prove it today without a doubt. So bear with me. I apologize in advance because there's some weird stuff and I'm going to give my commentary on
it. Or the apparent confusion anyway, about identity, human biology, gender. A mental disease called gender ideology has gripped hold of a large swath of the American public, totally taken over our public institutions. The disciples of this cult have been convinced or pretend to have been convinced that men are women and women are men, that men can have babies and women can have penises, that a woman can impregnate a man who can then give birth to and breastfeed a genderless child. That somehow the most basic facts of reality and of biology, facts which all people everywhere across the world for thousands and thousands of years all recognize intuitively, are no longer valid. It is total madness, and it is a madness that has infected our society and is now threatening to tear it apart at the seams, I believe. And it's for this reason that we decided that we had to make our film last year called What is a Woman, as mentioned in the introduction, which documents my year-long effort to confront and expose gender ideology. Our goal broadly was to explore gender ideology, to show it for what it is. But as the title suggests, this larger goal centered around one seemingly quite simple and specific question, which is, what is a woman? Now, backing up.
Yeah, Ms. Lovey, I don't play over here. There's none of that. This is the kind of content I do. I try to educate people. I try to let them know what's really going on in between all of the nonsense that we see, all of the entertainment that we see. I don't do that. I mean, I try to be entertaining while I talk about it, but the reality is, in politics, with the whole Epstein thing, that's being shushed for a reason. And they don't want to expose the people who actually did stuff to minors. What they want to expose is the one person who's not here to defend himself. Not that there is a defense. They arrested a woman apparently for no reason, because now they're saying there's no other perpetrators, only victims. So apparently, they said there was between 1,000 and 10,000 incidences of offenses against minors. And apparently they're all the one guy. I don't believe it. They're shutting it down for a reason. I don't like it. I just now remembered my last video on here. It's probably going to get this whole video taken down, but that's okay. I'll edit it after the fact. The P word is said a lot. Yeah, that's going to, well, we'll get there when we get there, but they are infiltrating in every aspect of life. and they're in the schools and they're going after sports, they're going after professional sports. And in order for, well, my daughters they didn't get into sports, thank God. They were all in sports, but they didn't pursue them. But now they're having to compete against men and young boys, and it's just the beginning.
Up a few years, it occurred to me sometime shortly after Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn and was immediately declared Woman of the Year, it became apparent to me that the word woman ceases to have any meaning if a guy named Bruce can be considered one. The word man, too, is emptied of meaning. It occurred to me also that this is a major problem for the left, for people promoting this agenda, because if the word woman no longer means adult human female, then what exactly does it actually mean? And if the left cannot tell us what it means, then how can they use the word? And if they can't use the word, then how can they do things like have women's marches and talk about women's rights or say anything about women at all? Indeed, how can a man say, I identify as a woman, if the word woman doesn't mean anything? It's about as meaningful as saying, I identify as a fliffer doodle or a who's he what's it.
And this is the most important reason why they can't identify a woman, because if you identify a woman, you have to be able to say what a misogynist is, which is a man who hates women or anyone who hates women. Okay, how do you have that if you get rid of the term woman? And that allows them to go in and you have boxers fighting against women. And I don't know what could be more misogynistic than having a man punch a woman in the face in front of a crowd of cheering people. You have to hate women to do something like that. You get rid of the labels and say, oh, anybody can be anything. And now you have men in women's prisons, men in women's sports, men punching women in the face, literally. That is a true hatred of women.
How can anyone identify as gibberish? And if they do, how are we supposed to affirm and respect gibberish? I could not affirm gibberish even if I wanted to, and I don't want to, and I won't. So it became obvious to me that this question, what is a woman, presents an insurmountable logical problem for the left, and so I kept asking the question and asking it and asking it, and in every forum available to me, which was mostly just Twitter. And they simply ignored the question to the extent that they could, and they carried on pretending like their worldview was not fatally incoherent and self-contradictory. And after years of this game of them ducking and dodging the question, I finally decided that it was time to take this query to them, to put it in front of their faces, confront them with it directly, confront them with the incoherence of their beliefs. And so began a quest that took us all over the country, even halfway around the world, to Kenya and to some other regions of the third world like Los Angeles. And we spoke to alleged experts, doctors, therapists, professors, surgeons. We spoke to trans people themselves. We spoke to activists. We spoke to politicians. We spoke to average people on the street. We spoke to a naked guy walking down the street in San Francisco. Because they literally walk around naked in that city. I don't know if you knew that. It was news to me. We spoke to politicians. We spoke to average, we spoke to nomadic tribesmen living in huts made out of cow dung. We spoke to everybody who would speak to us. Surprisingly, only once did I have to use a bullhorn during this whole time. And I learned quite a bit through this extraordinary and often bewildering and disturbing adventure. Some of what I learned came as a revelation. Other lessons, I think, simply emphasized and illustrated what I already knew. But in either case, it was enlightening for me. And it was a time, fully immersed in the most vile and toxic lunacy that the world has ever known. At the end of it all, we returned back to a truth that I, of course, already knew before we started, that your biological identity is innate. It is determined for you before you are born. This is a decision that was made by powers more powerful than any one of us individually. You're either man or woman. You don't get to choose which category you belong to. You don't get to switch from one category to another. Your category does not depend on your acceptance.
Downtown Los Angeles and San Francisco look like a third world country. I lived in LA. I lived in Orange County for a while, and I went to school in LA. I worked in LA. The difference between Orange County and Los Angeles, you can see when it starts getting bad as you're on the 405 or 5. It's that bad. You start, like, as you're driving up from Orange County, you see on the freeways, you start seeing graffiti. You start seeing barbed wire around the fences, and it's like, this is different. And when you get there, especially if you go downtown or on Staples Center, you see it. It's like, oh, okay. This is what they want. Because there's no other explanation for running a city into a point where you have homeless people and violence in the middle of the street. They have tents just lined up non-stop on both sides of the street. It It should never happen in this country.
Acceptance of it or agreement with it. So you could say, oh, I don't feel like I am that, I don't want to be that, but that is actually, practically speaking, irrelevant. Your self-perception may conflict with your self-reality, with your ideas about yourself, but the former cannot change the latter. It is possible for a person to perceive themselves to be something that they are not. So I might perceive myself to be Oprah, yet no matter how sincerely I perceive myself as Oprah, no matter how upset I would be to find out that I am not Oprah, I still am not Oprah. I can change my name to Oprah, I can wear a costume to look like Oprah. Well, actually, I couldn't do that. That'd be blackface, and they wouldn't. That's not allowed. That's the one kind of appropriation that's still not allowed somehow. But I cannot be Oprah. I cannot be something that fundamentally contradicts the identity I was born with. I am stuck with my fundamental identity, whether I like it or not. In fact, I had a self. That is, what is a self? A self is it's a person, a being. I had a self long before I developed any perceptions about myself. The self predates my perceptions of it. I was born.
And it is interesting when he brought up the blackface thing, because I clipped out part of one of my live streams, and it was that Jason Lee guy. I didn't know who he was at the time. Now I know his name is Jason Lee, and he was talking to Candace Owens, and she tried to get him to understand, and he had a reaction when she talked about a woman named Rachel Dolezal, who she was a white woman who identified as black. And everybody was outraged back then, rightfully so, because it was absurd. But now here we are in 2025, where you can have a man say he's a woman, and everybody's like, oh, okay, that's normal. But still to this day, if you are a white woman and you say I identify as black, there's a reaction, a natural reaction, a correct reaction, like, no, you're not. Don't do that. That's not cool. And you can have a black woman say they identify as white, and black people will look at them, black women will look at her and be like, what's wrong with you? Then all of a sudden they see the self-loathing. But when you have a man say he's a woman, you can't say anything. You can't say anything. So you can say something about somebody who wants to be black, but you can't say something to someone who wants to be a woman. And I think at a woman's core, there could be nothing more insulting than to have a guy just say, I'm carrying pads, I'm carrying tampons. And it just, you're never going to get that experience. You're never going to have those cycles. You're never going to go through what women go through. We're not women. We can't be women, no matter what you do on the outside to look like it. And this is a topic that people won't touch. I don't mind touching it. I don't care. I really don't, because I think it's very important, especially as we go through my presentation and start getting to what they're trying to do with kids and what they are actively doing with our kids. If you have kids in public schools, this video, I put together a compilation. So I just work my way through when I do my lives. I don't do any of the other stuff. It's going to progressively get worse, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, whoa. And that's the point. I try to end on a note where people are like, all right, that was really, really serious. And hopefully go look into some of the stuff that I'm saying, because it's real.
Born as an infant with very little self-awareness, and yet I was still a self. I was still a person, an identity. The self precedes self-perception, which means that the self cannot be fundamentally determined by self-perception. Our job is to bring our self-perception into line with the reality of ourselves.
My son will convince you, if you let him. He's only 6. He's going on 7 in September or November. He will convince you that he's a transformer. The next day he'll convince you that he's a dinosaur. The next day he'll convince you that he's a Roblox character. That's what kids do. These people want you to take those kids and do surgeries on them and puberty blockers on them and alter who they are based on how they feel, an emotional response.
Just like it is our job to bring our perception of the outside reality into line with what that reality actually is. And if the two are not in line with each other, then the perception should be changed to fit the physical reality. We cannot change the physical reality to fit the perception. And so all this means that your sex is determined without your consent. It is a matter of nature, a matter of physical reality, and that physical reality will either make you male or female. There are no other categories. Those are the only ones. Nobody can transcend this binary arrangement. Nobody can truly be trans. Transgender is a category error. It doesn't actually exist. So there are people who say that they're trans and self-identify as trans and use the term trans, but they actually aren't trans. Transgender people don't exist as a category. It's not possible to be that.
What it is a discomfort with what you actually are. That's it. And if you're an adult, I have no issue with it. Go ahead, do what you got to do. The problem is when you start forcing other people to comply with how you feel. I don't care how you feel. The bigger problem is when you start telling my kid, hey, this is normal. This is what it is. How you doing, Miss Just J? That's when it really becomes sick. That's when it really becomes evil. That's when it really is important for us to say, whoa, no, we're not doing this. You need to go down to your schools and find out what they're teaching your kids. Because again, as I go through this presentation, you're going to be like, there's no way this is happening. And it's happening in the states that you don't think it would happen. It's really happening here in Texas. It's really happening in Florida. It's really happening in areas where you're like, well, wait a minute. I thought those were red states. Why are they doing it there? That's exactly why they're doing it. They're trying to infiltrate. All those people moved from California to Texas. All those people moved from New York to Texas. There's a reason they did it. Not just to save on taxes. They want to flip the states. How you doing, Miss Phoenix Rising? They're flipping these. They're trying to flip these states, and they're doing it through your kids. And they're getting at them earlier. And as they grow up, they're going to be replacements for all the people they've lost with these sick ideas.
This is what makes gender ideology, the belief that gender is fluid, that we can choose to identify as a man or a woman, that men can have babies and women can have penises and the rest of it. This is what makes the whole ideology insane and poisonous and destructive. And that is also why I oppose gender ideology. I oppose it fundamentally because it is not true. There are a lot of other reasons to oppose it. And people often talk about, conservatives often talk about the effect that it has on children, the effect that it has on women, the effect that it has on women's sports and women's opportunities. And all of those things are extremely important. But that is not the basic reason why I oppose it. I oppose it first and foremost because it isn't true. And everything else follows through that.
And so that part I kind of disagree with, because if you're an adult, I don't care what reality you live in. It's not going to affect me in any way. It's always, for me, it's always about the kids. You can live a lie if you want. See how that works out for you. There's a reason why the highest suicide rate in this country is among that community. It's disproportionate. It's insanely high. There's a reason for that. There's something going on. There's a self-loathing or a confusion or a chemical imbalance. Whatever it is, live with it. Have at it. Don't spread it to kids.
Follows from that. Why is it so harmful for children? Because it isn't true. If it was actually true that an 11-year-old boy could be a girl, whatever that means, then it would be true and it wouldn't be harmful, but it isn't true. And all of the harm. And if it was actually true that a man who identifies as a woman actually is a woman, it's not harmful to allow him in the women's bathroom because that's where he belongs, because he is a woman, but he isn't. It isn't true. I oppose all things that are not true, especially those things that eat away at the most basic and essential realities of life. Now, what I'd like to do from here is briefly address the 5 primary objections to everything I've said and the position that I take and that many of us probably take on this topic, because these are objections that you've probably heard. And I think there are still plenty of people that understand the reality of this and are not proponents of gender ideology, and yet who will get tripped up by some of these objections when they're raised.
I'm going to skip this part because I thought I cut this part out. I don't know why it's there. I'm going to go straight to here because that's weird. I know I cut that out. I must not have saved it or something. Sorry about that.
Gender ideologue who has essentially collapsed the very sex versus...
What is a woman?
Now, this is a guy who was about to be the vice president of the United States. He's a governor, and he's asked a simple question in a congressional hearing: what is a woman? Listen to his response, because they know the implications of answering this question.
What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
Again, congressional hearing. This woman is now this happened a couple of years back. She's now a Supreme Court justice who can't identify what a woman is. My last video, not short, but my last short form video was on her. She doesn't even know her job. They can't answer this question or they will get backlash from that community. That's a problem. We have a Supreme Court justice who cannot say what a woman is. We have a governor who cannot say what a woman is. Well, then how can you identify misogyny? How can you identify domestic violence against a woman? How can you define a mother?
I can't.
You
Can't
can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word woman
Not a
is
biologist.
so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
I find it
And Ketanji Brown Jackson is a Supreme Court justice now. After she said that, she should have been disqualified because you have to be insane to be a. They promoted her and pushed her as going to be at the time the first Black woman Supreme Court justice. So when you ask what a woman is and you can't answer it, that's beyond contradiction. That's insanity. It's like, wait a minute. She's going to be a Supreme Court justice? Apparently, yes.
particularly amusing that the party who doesn't know how many genders there are to begin with has the gall to lecture us about gender equity. But if we want to talk about gender equity, let's talk about it. Which party believes that men should be using women's bathrooms? It's not this side of the aisle, it's the Democrat Party. Which party believes that men should be playing in women's sports? It's not this side of the aisle, it's the Democrat Party. Which party believes that our tax dollars should fund transgender surgeries for minors? It's not this side of the aisle, it's that side of the aisle. And those are things that they don't like to talk about because they know how wildly unpopular they are with the American people. But that is the reality, and that's what we are up against right now, is a Democrat Party that is pushing some of the most wild and perverse social programs on the American people.
She probably would have said it's a social construct. Mike asked, Mike said she should have asked, "Are you a woman and how do you know?" She would have said it's a social construct, and I was labeled that at birth, and I wasn't given the choice. But I'm proud. This guy, Emain Khalif. Hold on, let me put it back. Sorry, Emain Khalif was. Let me go back. Sorry. Here we go. This guy, I went on and on and on about during the Olympics because he's a boxer, and he was boxing against women and won the gold, and he beat the crap out of a bunch of women to get there, and they kept saying no, that's a woman, and their proof that it's a woman was they don't allow in his country where he's from for you to be transgender. They would have killed him if that's the case. Now here we are, 8 months, 9, 10. 11, 12, almost a year or over a year. I don't know how long it's been. But since the Olympics, now we find out that the medical report came out and it is a man. And now he's ducking the testing because he wanted to get back in to do world championships and go back to the next Olympics because he can win over and over and over.
We saw the very sensible decision to demand mandatory sex testing from all athletes from world boxing. And I read a short time ago that controversial Olympic gold medalist Iman Khalif has already gone AWOL. She's pulled the pin on her next competition as a result of this announcement. It's a bit.
They blocked my video, my Olympic video, when I covered this. I had to adjust it and put it back out. because they said it was misinformation. It wasn't true. And same thing happened on Twitter or X. That's not true. And they would put the little community notes underneath it saying, nope, it's not a man. All reports show that it's whatever they were saying. I don't know what they were saying. They did not like people calling him a man. And now there's proof that it's a man.
Of hope for those of us who have actually been despairing about what this trend has been, where apart from political correctness, which is just absurd, the attacks on free speech, and now this whole gender ridiculous stuff where we've got men competing against women and the associations in denial about that. Thank goodness that they're waking up to themselves.
What did I say that was BS exactly?
Because you're comparing.
And as we progress, it's going to get worse. So now you're going to hear the mindsets of some of these people. And he's going to be talking to a guy what Charlie Kirk does. He's got an organization called a Turning Point, TPUSA, and they go to colleges and they give a conservative perspective, and they have a bunch of people who disagree with them stand in line and air their grievances and their disagreements.
Adultery which is a conscious, immoral decision. And Trump is an adulterer. That's 100%. And it is immoral. It's proven 100%. Gay people do not choose to be gay.
I never said that, but you choose to act on the impulse.
Why wouldn't you? That's who you are.
Okay, but what if someone says, I just chose to cheat on my wife. It's who I am. I just chose to gamble the house away. I'm a gambler. It's just who I am. Hold on. I just chose to rob the bank. It's who I am. What's the difference?
You're talking about sexuality. It's like, I can't choose. I'm heterosexual. I have no choice. I like women.
Let's play this out. Does a pedophile choose to act on their impulse to have sex with kids?
How dare you compare gay people?
So they immediately go to the condemnation instead of answer the question. How dare you?
To pedophiles. They're not pedophiles.
I never said that. I'm asking a question.
And first of all, pedophiles does not necessarily mean that that they're doing something wrong. If you're talking about sexual predators, that's different.
I'm asking a.
So he just said that just because you're a pedophile doesn't mean you're a predator. Let them speak long enough and they'll tell you who they really are.
Series of questions of whether or not behavior.
Hold on, I got to go back to that part.
It's like, I can't choose. I'm heterosexual. I have no choice. I like women.
Let's play this out. Does a pedophile choose to act on their impulse to have sex with kids?
How dare you compare gay people to pedophiles? They're not pedophiles.
I never said that. I'm asking a question.
And first of all, pedophiles does not necessarily mean that they're doing something wrong. If you're talking about sexual predators, that's different.
I'm asking a series of questions of whether or not behavior and impulse are two different things. So you can have a lot of impulses. Acting on them is far more important. And so he asked a question of what my religion teaches. My personal religion believes that marriage is between man and one woman, as God designed and God made male and female.
DEI just means diversity, equity, and
it means.
All right, so I have two of them on DEI, and this is to show that they use us. They use black people to spread this nonsense, and usually they use our women, but this is two incidences where they're using men. But look at the type of man who talks like this, and ask yourself, okay, I'll just play it.
Didn't earn it, but yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't.
I know.
Why would you say that? You know it.
Well, because the essence of DEI means didn't earn it.
What's wrong with inclusion? What's so evil about that word?
In practice, not the word itself, this is a forced corporate program or college program, however you want to put it, elevating things that do not matter, that should not be in the matrix of making decisions.
DEI isn't just about hiring. It can be research to find, disparities of, diseases against different groups.
You could pick the Salvadorians, the Mexicans, the Iranians, the Persians, the Syrians, the Lebanese. You could pick any country. The ones that have succeeded reject the attitude that you and the prior guy have said.
What do you think my attitude is?
You are prioritizing the past and de-emphasizing agency in the
I am
immediate.
saying that the past should
yeah, but all these
have
groups,
effects on what we do
all
now.
these other groups do not believe this. In Black America, there is an attitude, a worldview, an ethos that is predominantly focused on past injustices, not on future prosperity.
I think Black Americans see that there has been past injustices, And those past injustices.
They always try to connect that movement to our civil rights. Always. Every time. What's going on, Lou? What's going on, Deja Vu? Every time they try to connect our skin color to how these people behave. And it's not the same thing. Their emotions and their behaviors have nothing to do with race. But this is how they got in. And this is how they push all of their legislation. Use the black people, and then we'll throw them out later.
Are still here to some extent.
Has that
today.
mindset worked for Black America?
I mean, it worked for MLK.
MLK would be marching in the streets against DEI, actually.
No, he would not be.
Well, he said, I don't care about color, I care about content of character. DEI cares about color.
DEI is about making an inclusive space for everyone of every background.
DEI and wokeness believe that every action is impacted by some systemic injustice and that DEI can fix it. I just hope Black America stops this victim mentality and embraces a victor mentality. They'll be much better if they do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
I believe that
Here's another one. I just want you to look at the kind of man, black man, that speaks up for this kind of stuff. And then it starts to make sense. Because you won't hear a man talk like this. You won't.
America should be a colorblind society. For instance, should people be treated differently based on their race? It's just a yes or no question.
It's not a yes or no question.
It's a yes or no question.
It is a, as I said in the beginning of my testimony, America
yes or
has
no
not done right by indigenous peoples, by black people, by Asian American and Pacific Islander
Should people be treated differently based on their race? Yes or no?
People should receive the services and the support and the remedies that are
Your
owed
answer
to.
This dude got S's that aren't even there. He's pronouncing S's that aren't even there. Yeah, his name is Brandon Gillu. He's actually out of Texas. He's an up and comer. He's really, really good. I don't know who this guy is. He's a lot of hissing.
Them
that they should be treated differently based on their race.
They should receive the remedies that are owed to them because of the systemic racism
Do you
and
believe
injustice.
do you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices?
I do not believe that white people are the only qualified people for jobs.
I didn't say that. Nobody said that. I asked you if race should be considered in employer hiring practices. And you're not going to intimidate me by slandering me as a racist.
You're also, I did not call you a racist.
No,
You're not going to intimidate me by insisting that I called you a racist.
Straightforward question. It's a yes or no question. Should race be considered in employer hiring practices? Yes or no?
I believe that diversity ought to be considered as companies and other organizations attempt to reflect their customers,
I'll take that as a yes.
our country.
I'll take that as a yes. Which race do you think should be preferred?
I do not think that a single race should be preferred.
You just said that you believe that race should be considered in employer hiring practices.
I don't know. There's going to be a transcript of this hearing. I didn't say that in that way.
Okay, why don't you explain what you believe?
What I
Very
said
briefly.
and what I believe is that the demographic composition of workplaces,
Which
our
is,
nation's military,
by
and
demographic
so on,
composition,
our Congress ought to reflect the diversity of the United
racial
States of America.
demographic composition. Racial demographic, is that what you're saying?
Racial, gender.
Okay, so race should be a factor in employer hiring practices. Yeah, that's what you're saying, is it not?
Organizations ought to attempt to match the diversity of
you're
their.
hopping around the question.
No,
you don't want to
I am
answer it.
answering quite straightforwardly.
Who
as a
gets
matter
to
of fact,
determine which races are preferred?
I don't. I already told you I don't have a single racial group.
You just told me that you believe that the racial demographic makeup should be taken into account in hiring practices.
And it should be reflected in all levels of companies and other organizations.
Here's why I played those last two. If you ask a trans person who started the trans movement, they're going to say black trans people. Lou, are you a man? Are you a man? So there absolutely is yes or no answers to questions. I would hope you answer that question correctly. There you go. Thank you, sir. What's going on, TP? This is what they will tell you every time. Who started the LGB movement, they will always say a black trans woman started it, meaning a black man who became a woman. Every time. They'll go all the way back to the 50s and say that's who started. But look who's holding the sign. This is always what gets me. This is always what gets me. They're using us, and especially women. They use straight women and they use straight black women. And this is what they do. It's a clear agenda to me. But maybe because I've been studying it for so long, it's clear to me. I just hope more of us wake up and say, "Hey, man, why are all these white people saying Black Lives Matter? Why are all these black people talking about trans movements? I don't understand it."
Prisons, the issue of prisons as well, biological men going into female prisons.
But they're no longer biological men.
They're no longer biological men. Okay,
they're
fine.
Women.
They're women.
Even if they haven't transitioned, they're still women.
They're still women.
Even if they haven't transitioned, they're still women. Okay.
Women.
Like,
Yeah.
if they're transgender and they haven't transitioned medically, they're still women.
This person, according to them, is a woman. This person didn't even bother to change his name. His name is David. 40 years old, 6 feet tall, 218 pounds. He is in the Denver Women's Correctional Facility. They're pushing this agenda. They're forcing it through. A lot of people don't know what's happening. And a lot of times, I should have left the convictions, because 1 or 2 of those was SA or SO offenses. And they're putting them in there with prey, essentially. What's going on, G. Will? They're essentially throwing him in there with a bunch of victims that don't know they're victims yet. The agenda is very strong, and they're doing this across the board. It's in every aspect of life now. We'll just play this.
All right, Bath and Body Works facing a federal lawsuit. A store manager fired for refusing to refer to a new staff member's preferred pronouns. Oh, geez, Lou. All right, joining me now, Jessela Bowden, the fired store manager, and Stephanie Taub, senior counsel with First Liberty Institute. Ladies, welcome. Jocelyn, I am shocked when I read this story. So tell us what happened, because you were a longtime employee at Bath and Body Works.
Yeah, I worked at Bath & Body Works for about 3.5 years. In fact, about a month before I was terminated, I had my annual review, and the annual review was great. I got a raise with the annual review. It was really positive, like my previous ones had been. What happened is pretty simple. It's pretty, unfortunately, straightforward. I refused to lie based on my religious beliefs and my moral beliefs and character. I refused to degrade my moral character by lying and calling a biological girl, a new associate that I had hired, a he. It was that simple.
So, Stephanie, what does the law say about this? Does Jocelyn have a case here?
Well, absolutely. So at First Liberty Institute, we're honored to represent Jocelyn.
Before she goes on, this actually could be taken all the way to the Supreme Court, because you're combining things that you're infringing on. And this is a big one. They're going to settle and they're going to just hire her back. But if she wanted to pursue it, if it were me, I wouldn't settle. I would take this all the way to the Supreme Court.
We filed a charge of discrimination with the Equal Opportunity Employment Commission, and we firmly believe that this violates both state and federal civil rights law. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act protects employees against religious discrimination and provides that there is a general right to receive a religious accommodation in the workplace. The only exception to that is when granting that accommodation would cause substantial increased costs. And that is clearly not the case here. Bath and Body Works had easy options to accommodate Jocelyn, but they simply declined to engage in any sort of process to figure out if there was a way for everyone to work together.
And that's what I've always done. I've hired, and I'm not exaggerating, thousands of people in my career over the last 20, 25 years. I do exactly what Ms. Deja Vu said, and I just call them by their name. It's much, much easier than saying anything else. You do catch yourself every now and then slipping up. Usually it's to other people, and once they get to know you, they understand that if you're doing it maliciously or if it's on accident. But this person just started working there, and already it's almost like they were looking for a lawsuit. But as she talks, you realize it may not even been the person that was misgendered, which is even weirder, which means somebody else was just looking for a lawsuit.
So Jocelyn, take me through what happened here, because this new employee, what reported you, and what happened at that point when you had conversations with your district manager?
Well, keep in mind, of course, with businesses this large, all these are anonymous complaints. So I don't know if it was this new associate. I don't know if it was anyone else on the team. I can only make assumptions about that because the complaint that was made against me was anonymous. So I couldn't even face the person who made the complaint. So when I spoke with HR and then my district manager, the incident that created the complaint was on April 26th. I worked with this employee, this new associate, after hiring her one evening, where I called her a she.
And Amherst Regional.
And it really could be that simple. It could have been somebody else who was disgruntled who just said this person's discriminating, and they lost their job over misgendering. Here's another one.
Middle school guidance counselor has won her job back after she was fired for allegedly misgendering students. According to the superintendent of Amherst Public Schools, Delinda Dykes appealed her termination through
Not gonna lie, the name is ironic. Sorry.
arbitration. The arbitrator ruled in favor of Dykes and ordered that the district immediately reinstate her to her position. Dykes was fired following a 2023 Title IX investigation into how staff handled reported LGBTQ+ bullying.
I'm gonna go back. Sorry. But it's really ironic, and I thought it was so obvious of a joke to me. I thought it was fake, so I had to go look up the story.
Where I called her a she.
An Amherst Regional Middle School guidance counselor has won her job back after she was fired for allegedly misgendering students. According to the superintendent of Amherst Public Schools, Delinda Dykes appealed her termination through arbitration. The arbitrator ruled in favor of Dykes and ordered that the district immediately reinstate her to her position. Dykes was fired following a 2023 Title IX investigation into how staff handled reported LGBTQ+ bullying. The superintendent said, quote, "This is an opportunity to improve how we lead, how we document, and how we ensure accountability."
So it's leading to this kind of behavior. When you have kids who are in schools and teachers and counselors getting fired for misgendering people, you start seeing this kind of stuff. So it's going to be a couple of TikTok videos and interviews of people just saying outrageous things. And it's like, I have no idea what these people are talking about. This is the next generation coming up. The one behind them is going to be even worse if they're allowed to keep doing what they're doing.
Genderqueer, transmasc, and queer.
What's transmasc?
Transmasc is like people under the non-binary umbrella identifying like or presenting masc.
Masculine?
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm trans and my sexuality is unlabeled. I use he, him pronouns.
Yeah, and I use he, they pronouns.
Fluid.
Can you explain what that means to me a little bit more?
Whatever turns you on.
Pronouns.
She, her, it. I feel like honestly, it should not be a bad thing. Like I've talked to people who go with they and them. I'm like, well, in the grammar of things, how would you want to represent yourself? It's like, I mean, I guess it, because it's like you're it, you're the it. Like it shouldn't be a bad name. It should just be owned.
Gay. Yes. Yes, I love.
They identify as he, she, her.
Oh. She. I guess you could call me gay. I'm homo flexible, really. I do like some women, but
Mostly men. What's the weird?
Yeah, so there's no such thing. What that guy just said is there's no such thing. There's no. If you're a man, you're either straight or you're not. I don't know what that guy's talking about. But here's another one. Like I said, as my presentation goes on, it's going to get worse. Before some of you guys came in, I gave a trigger warning. It's going. I need to highlight this so you guys can see what's really going on, and it's going to progressively get worse until we're talking about how the title of my live came to be, which is the T's and Q's are coming for your kids.
Weirdest thing about conservatives?
They're all sexually repressed.
What do you mean by that?
They like to pretend that they don't want to, but then they their wives, their husbands, and their mistresses behind everyone's backs, and then they like to pretend that they're virgins to the front.
Okay. All right. Last question for you. What's the weirdest thing about yourself?
I like being peed on.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that answer.
You asked me what is the weirdest thing about myself? I'm a femboy and I like people to pee on.
What is a trans gay man?
Biologically female, but we're trans men and we're gay. We like guys.
All right. That one right there is a personal favorite. Oh, they're definitely confused. They just said that they're straight, but they created labels to figure out how to say it.
I wasn't expecting that answer.
You asked me what is the weirdest thing about myself? I'm a femboy and I like people to pee on.
What is a trans gay man?
Biologically female, but we're trans men and we're gay. We like guys.
That's literally straight. There are, and I laugh. I apologize for laughing. Because a lot of these people have issues. They're sick or they're confused or whatever's going on is going on. And sometimes I probably shouldn't laugh, but they literally just said they're straight. But they're dancing around at a gathering or protest or whatever they're at, saying they're straight, but using trans language to do it. You said it, Mika. I didn't say it.
As a young child of 20, I am pissed off of being beaten up and not being able to fight back. I'm a big, strong woman. I'm that scary trans they warned you about. I'm ready to fight back.
What happened to your arm?
Got jumped by 2 people and then arrested for it. I'm a pacifist. I don't fight back, but I still got arrested.
Women usually don't fight back.
Oh, I'm not like women. I am 100% the scary one that I'm a fighter.
So you're not a woman?
I am a woman, but I'm not. I'm me. That's the best I can describe it. I'm the protector. I don't fight back for me, but when it comes to others, watch out.
What's the worst thing that Trump did so far?
It's so much of a blur. Honestly, it's
just one.
Sorry, I do have a concussion. Give me a second.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
Where'd they go?
Yeah, walk faster.
Oh, there they are. Thank you. I gotta get back up to my group.
All right, thank you.
Now, just that whole scenario, I'll say, okay, whatever. I wouldn't have an issue until this next part, and you're going to see what he does after this.
Thank you.
So, even though it's a dude, he took his shirt off, and apparently he's got something under there, to the point where they had to blur it out.
There are children out here.
Again, there's my focus. That's always going to be my focus, 100% of the time. There are children out here. This guy, even though it's a dude, he's walking around, and I don't know if they're real, I don't know if they're not, but he's just flapping in the wind. And that's a problem, because somebody else has to explain that to their kids. Honestly, the kids probably shouldn't be in that atmosphere anyway. I would never take my son through any of that. And when my daughters were younger, I would have never taken them through anything like that. But if you're driving home or you're on your way, whatever, is this really what you want to talk about with your kids?
And although that's a man, it's just really, really weird. They say that we're the weird ones, and
we're so indecent, and then there's that. Why do you want to take a photo of me?
Just gonna run it through Google Lens.
Oh, I can just tell you who I am.
This is all right. So these pictures are the beginning of where it really starts getting weird. Transgender lawmaker against the name change of the Gulf of America, when they changed it from the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, said it was dumb and ridiculous. And this is Jamie Lee Curtis, the actress. She says, "No one, man, I mean no one knows which one of my daughters are trans." And when you play along with this stuff, you're enabling it. You got this person over there thinking that there's no way you can tell the difference between the two daughters, which one is trans. Nobody knows which of her daughters are trans, and she wouldn't have it any other way. So you're just going to keep lying to this person their whole life. It's wild. And Planned Parenthood, which I believe is an absolutely evil organization, has this flyer out. And this is actually on their website. But they pass these out in clinics, apparently. Trans men need cervical cancer screening too. Like, how insulting is this? To me, I would, if I were a woman, I would be so offended when I see stuff like this. It's just me. I'm not a woman, so I can't speak on it. I just thought that was wild.
And
this is the former president of the United States on his wife, or soon to be ex-wife, podcast. This is where it starts getting weird and annoying and frustrating and really upsetting. Listen to what they're talking about. They're talking about male role models. I want you to hear a former president of the United States. Of course, it's the first black one. Of course, it's the one with the wife, whatever. But listen to this conversation.
That's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad is.
He can't be
like,
everything.
He can't be everything. And that
I am everything to my son. When it comes to the law, when it comes to discipline, when it comes to motivation, when it comes to role modeling, I am everything to my son. I don't want to hear you need more than just your dad. No, you absolutely don't. Now, you need your mom, of course. It's a completely different role. But I am everything. And this already had me annoyed. So I'm going to chill on the commentary because I was like, huh? Not just the dad. So what are you trying to say? This community effort? I don't believe that at all. I really, really don't believe
a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be
like,
everything.
He can't be everything. And that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah.
Right?
100% facts. Absolutely. Direct family and only direct family, but that's not what he's talking about. So listen.
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time.
Why is it even discussed who that professor liked to have sex with? Because that's ultimately what we're talking about here. Why not just say I had a college professor who was very inspirational to me and a great mentor and helped me understand, school, whatever it is. Why did he have to throw in who the guy has sex with? This is Barry Soetoro, former president of the United States. Why throw that in there? Why? What's the point? It's supposed to be private who you have sex with anyway. Why did he have to say I had a gay professor? I didn't have this professor, or just give the name Joe Schmo. There was a guy named Joe Schmo who was so inspirational. No. He had to say who the guy has sex with.
When openly gay folks still weren't allowed. who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant.
All of that could have been said without telling us who he had sex with. So I had a professor who liked having sex with men. And then he tells us a history of why he inspires him. Why throw that in there? Is that appropriate? He absolutely hesitated when he said, you caught that. He absolutely said that. What's the point of doing that? Why would you add that? Barry Soetoro, former president of the United States. What's going on, Wabatu? Former president of the United States is talking about this man, but before he could label the dude, he has to let us know who the dude has sex with. Sorry, I went back a little too far. Listen to Barry. Here goes Barry.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
One dad.
One dad. No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And that.
Again, I'm saying one more time. To all the fathers, you are everything to that boy, especially the boys. But for the girls, you are everything to those girls. You are the example of what they need to look for. You model the behavior of the type of man who's going to replace you. That's our job. And I've been blessed to be able to hand two of my daughters off to men who do what they're supposed to do, and they are reflective of how my daughters see me. So they're not looking for some dude to save. They're not looking for somebody in prison that they think they can rescue and parent. They're looking for a man who can protect, who can provide, and who could do the things that I did for them. So I need to be replaced. I can offer advice on the back end to him. I can offer advice on her, or as far as she goes, I can offer advice to how to trust him, and then I can help that work. But what I can't do is allow somebody to come in and replace me that can't take care of my girls. I only got one more to hand off. But the first two have done amazing. To a girl, the father is everything. He is who her future is going to be, what it's going to look like, what she's going to put up with, what she's not going to put up with, what's normal, what's not normal. Did he raise his hand at you? Did your father ever raise his hand at you? Okay. She learns from the man. The man in the home is everything from those things. Now, the woman in the home is everything from the other part, from the love, the teaching, the examples on the other end. What is the boy going to look for in a woman? He's looking for the same thing. Or he's looking for the opposite. And that means you probably didn't do as good of a job as you may have wanted. But we are the examples. That's what we are here for. So when they say that can't be everything, that's a lie. That is a flat out lie. What's going on? Spare me your angst.
That boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Right.
No. So again, he's talking about what boys need. Boys do not need to know who their mentors are having sex with. That's what, to even suggest that, to me, is some kind of agenda. I don't understand what the point of that was. So when you have a gay, why do you need to have a gay mentor? That's what he just said. A non-binary mentor. What is he talking about? And why is he talking about what boys need when it comes to this topic? What's going on, Jay? This is scripted. There's something, there's more behind this.
Right. So that, I think, is creating that community. I know it's corny, but that's what they need.
And we talk a lot about what we had with our mother and father,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know, a lot of times, but we really did have a big community of people in our lives. I mean, that we don't talk a lot about that on this show. We allude to it, but Craig and I, we grew up in a huge community of.
You see how they're replacing the word family? Why does she keep saying community? I'm telling you, these are very, very, very smart people. They know what words they're using and what words they're not using. Why is she talking about community? Why isn't she just saying family? Everybody has family, and a lot of them ain't. A lot of them aren't good. But this is the question to ask. Why does this professor sexuality? What does it have to do with helping raise a boy? Why? Oh, spare me angst. I saw it. I saw that. Great interview, too. Great interview. But it becomes clear when you look at her and you look at her brother and how they grew up. And you got to wonder, again, what is the point of this? They sat down and said, we're going to talk about gay mentorship for boys. It's not like this is just some random conversation. She's interviewing her own husband for her podcast. And this is the topic you wanted to talk about. Barry Soetoro was the president of the United States for 8 years. And you're going to talk about gay mentorship for boys? This is the man who lit up the White House rainbow. What's really the point of all this?
Extended aunts and uncles and cousins and all types of male role models, which helped in broadening out and filling in where our mother and father were limited.
I can appreciate you using our family as an example.
Now it makes sense. But he accidentally said the word family. Probably got on him after this one. I appreciate that, Jay.
But uncles, but not necessarily blood uncles.
Have to be both.
But
not necessarily blood uncles.
Who can give a kid or kids some contextualization of who their parents are.
Right.
And what it means.
Why do kids need to be told who their parents are or give context to their own parents? As if the kids don't know they don't know that? That's all they know. That's why we're everything to our kids. They're trying to distance it. And he accidentally used the word family, but then he replaced it. He corrected it on the back end by saying, well, not necessarily. Family uncles.
Model. There are a lot of ways to be a responsible, respected, strong man, and you don't have to be rich, and you don't have to be a professional athlete.
And you don't have to go find it on the internet among a group of unclear influences, and this is a thing that parents Emma has to understand. If her sons aren't getting it,
they'll look for it.
They are going to look for it because boys need this. Right. Whether they think that they're happy playing video games on their own, and we haven't even talked about how the rise in video games has sort of left kids feeling like, well, this is who I am.
That's a whole different conversation, and it's a valid conversation, but it has nothing to do with a gay mentor and a community. I actually started when I started gaming a little bit more, but I moved away from the city of Chicago. The easiest way for me to have my community or play whatever games we were playing at Unreal Tournament, Battlefield with my cousins and my brothers was getting online. So there is a different type of community, if you want to use that word. And again, that's a whole different conversation, but they're making it sound bad, probably because they don't understand it or they don't know anything about it. But they don't want to talk about sports, which is huge for boys. I believe every boy should be in sports. I believe every boy should train in jiu-jitsu. I think it should be mandatory because that's where they learn a different type of structure outside of the home, outside of the father. That's where they learn, I got to actually be on the same team with these guys. With the jiu-jitsu part, that's where they learn, I'm not the strongest person in the room. And they get humbled repeatedly, non-stop. You're getting tapped out. It is so important and humbling. It also gives you confidence when you go out or they go back to school, knowing I can handle myself. It's a completely different attitude than going around walking through the neighborhood not understanding how bad you can get beaten by the next man. But if you know that, you move different. It's a completely different attitude that the boy has. He's going to have the confidence, but he's also going to have the knowledge to know I can't just beat anybody. Because you have these emotional boys who think they can beat anybody, and then when they get whooped, they can't handle losing. That's where the guns come into play, and that's where the groups come into play. That's where the gangs come into play. There's a lot to it, all from learning jujitsu. The community aspect and the team aspect comes from football, basketball, any of those sports where you have a coach who gives very, very, very strict directions. If you don't follow them, immediate consequences. Laps, jumping jacks, push-ups, pull-up, whatever they have them do. That is what the real world is going to look like when this boy gets out of the home. Coaches are some of the most important human beings for boys. I cannot stress that enough. When they go into the workforce, they're going to see their boss as a coach, and they're going to understand hierarchy. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to take disrespect because they have experience with bad coaches and good coaches. That's just what it is. So there is some truth to what they're saying, but that's not their intent. They're not talking about what I just talked about. They're talking about gay mentorship.
I'm alone or I'm interacting through a game. Virtually, but I don't have any in real life friends. Kids are going to seek out some kind of community. So big community, I would emphasize, because they need to have other outlets. They have to be able to learn how to be more than just the sport that they care about. And while they get great skills in sports and they learn a whole lot of traits,
teamwork.
It isn't music. It's not language. It's not.
Absolutely, Lou. The reason why I chose jujitsu is because that's what I've always been doing forever, for the longest. How you doing, KB? When it's just you and the other person and you lose, you don't get mad, you don't pout. And this is really good for kids. You don't get mad, you don't get pout, you don't get frustrated, you don't retaliate. It's like, oh, okay, I lost. That teaches boys the lesson of sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. It's just that simple. And because boys don't get whooped, depending on where you grow up, they grow up, some of them think they're invincible, some of them are scared to find out. They don't understand humility. And the reason why I love jujitsu is because you find out real fast that somebody way smaller than you can tap you out like that. It's happened to not everybody. It's happened to all of us who have done any kind of training. And you learn that, and it's like, oh, okay, just because I'm bigger doesn't mean I'm tougher. I can lose, I can win. And it creates a balance. And again, it changes how you move around other people because you're now vulnerable, but confident at the same time. And you just know, I can avoid this. I don't need to get in this confrontation. And it can change, especially Black boys. It can change their lives. They won't have the reactions that they have to losing because they're used to it while they're training. It happens every day, multiple times a day. You're going to tap. You have to. If you don't, you're going to lose a limb. You're literally going to break something.
It's not social in certain ways.
Right.
And so I think we owe it to our boys to be very deliberate about saying enough with sports and let's try some other things.
Or at least
See, they want to get rid of the most important thing for young boys when it comes to learning discipline and learning how to deal with other boys. Boys wrestle. That's what we do. We're feeling out, okay, where am I in this hierarchy? Am I as strong as I thought? Can I do this? Should I do this? Boys learn that structure. They learn the repercussions of their actions. Like I said, immediately, you're going to do laps, you're going to do push-ups. Whatever you do wrong, you're going to figure it out real quick. And the coach is going to tell you, and then he's going to make you do it again and again and again and again. And that prepares you for life. And it also prepares you how to better teach your boys when you have boys. Sports are extremely important. It doesn't mean they have to go into it for a career, but what it is it's they're lifelong lessons. You could take all of those sports lessons to this point that G. Will made. You can be 50 years old and still refer to a 70-year-old man who's no longer even alive as coach. You won't even call him by his name because there's a respect built. Now, again, there are bad coaches, there are good coaches, but for the most part, we're still learning from another man outside of the home how the real world works outside. In the home, you have a father, he's everything to you. You do what he says, that's what it is. But when you get out into the workforce, when you get out into the military, when you get out just into the streets, period, whatever you're doing recreationally, you have to be able to handle being social with other people, especially men. You have to know how to move around other men or there will be conflicts. That's where you're going to have the issues arise, where this dude does not know how to behave around other men. This dude's getting loud and we don't deal with that. So 90% of his former players call him on a regular basis, especially the young men without their fathers in their lives. That is a perfect example of a good male role model. What you don't want is somebody like Barry Soetoro saying how important it was in his life to have a gay professor. There's no reason to tell us who that man was having sex with. None. It makes no sense to me unless you're promoting an agenda. Yeah, I really had this great mentor. He liked to have sex with men and he just taught me so many things. That's what he's saying when he says that. There's no reason for it.
Encouraging them and exposing them to it in a way. Look, sports was scaffolding for me to pull myself into manhood. But even as I was doing that, though, my mom was still dragging me to art museums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was still being taken to, waiting for Godot. I remember my mom took me to a Samuel Beckett play when I was like 12. And I'm kind of sitting there.
It's like, what is this about?
But you know what? I kind of got it after a while. I thought, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily the thing I would choose to do, but the fact that I did it meant later when I was 17, 18, all right, there's something there that, may be interesting. So sometimes it's just a matter of, saying to our boys, you being interested in art, and you being interested in, theater, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Boys hearing that.
Yeah.
They're literally pushing all the things. If you ever go back to your high school days, theater was very, very specific type of dudes. Why are they promoting? Why are they pushing this? Why are they doing this? Why art? Okay, art is not necessarily a masculine or feminine thing. I'm an artist. I've been drawing my whole life, but I chose that. I didn't need to be taken anywhere to learn. Oh wow, I can really draw. I didn't have to do that. But theater, mom taking her son to plays for what? There's nothing against it. I just think if you look at the schools and the theater departments everywhere, it's a real particular type of guy who's in there. There's two. One who's trying to get laid and the other one who's not very masculine. I'm just saying. That's where they find their solace in pretending to be somebody else.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Those are good things.
It's not cool.
There is no pride in indoctrinating children in school.
So again, now it's about to get worse. Like I told you guys, as my presentation goes, it's going to get not worse in a negative way, but worse in a, hey, this is what they're trying to do to your kids. We're now getting to that area. It's going to start getting sick.
There is no pride in stripping parents of their right to protect their children.
So even if you look, this video was actually presented by a group called Gays Against Grooming. So this is not like a bunch of anti-gay people. These are people who are saying, nah, we want no part of this. Don't lump us in with the T's and the pluses.
Stripping parents of their right to protect their children.
This woman, this mother, lost her custody of her daughter for insisting that she's a girl. That's insane. A mother can be a crackhead. This is what they think about men. A mother can be a crackhead and divorce or separate from the father, and they will still give her custody. But this woman lost custody of her daughter for insisting that her daughter is a girl, misgendering. So I gave you guys 2 examples of people losing their jobs over misgendering. They're now taking it all the way down to the home level. She lost custody of her own daughter for calling her a daughter. This is the agenda. I don't know exactly how many people or exactly who is doing this, but know that it's happening so you can at least identify it and stop it. She lost. It's almost impossible for a woman to lose custody of their daughter. They really have to be. If she was the crackhead, they may take the kid, but all she has to do is prove that she's no longer a crackhead, and they'll give the kids back. That's how hard it is for a woman to lose custody. But now, saying sweetheart, her can get a kid, a girl, taken away from her own mother. This guy lost custody of his son after questioning his transgender identity. Hey, why do you think you're a girl? Take away custody. There are judges out there doing this. Somebody had to decide you can no longer have your own son because he's saying that he's a girl. And this guy's just questioning it, lost custody. The other lady, just questioning it, lost her daughter. I don't know how this is all going to play out, but for parents, watch your kids, train your kids on what to look for, what not to look for, and teach them. You are everything, no matter what Barry Soetoro and his wife, Mitchell Obama, said. Watch your kids. Don't allow this, and pay attention to school. I'm telling you, pay attention to that curriculum. This one, New York teacher manipulated 5th grade student into changing gender without the parents' consent. And then the kid unalived themselves. It's not reversible. When something like this happens, it's not reversible. What is the repercussions for something like this for this teacher? Why is she even talking to a kid about sexuality and gender? It shouldn't. How does it even come up in conversation? Hey, little girl. Hey, little boy. Like, that's predator behavior. Literally, a 5th grade student. Don't worry about what your parents say. You can change who you are. Go have this surgery. How did it get that far? And I'm not saying these are the best parents in the world because I don't know how. I really don't know how it's possible that all this can be happening and your kids don't know what's going, or you don't know what's going on with your kids. But the fact that it happened shows that there are teachers out there that are willing to do this. There's a former president out there that is willing to say stuff like this, that it's okay to go to place. Don't do sports. Find a gay mentor. Texas Supreme Court rules against a father seeking to prevent the castration of his own son. You know what that would do to me? Just thinking about it. I have a 6-year-old boy. He's about to be 7. And to have some judge, I don't care who it is, tell me that I cannot stop my boy from getting castrated and turned into a girl, I don't know what I would do. But I want you guys to see that this is how far they're willing to go. They're coming for your kids. It's not a joke. It really isn't.
There is no pride in sexualizing children at drag shows.
Nope. There's one in here.
There is no pride.
Oh, maybe it's not in there, but I'll wait. I have a screenshot of one of the people who founded that. What's going on?
Mutilating and sterilizing children in the name of gender-affirming care.
This
trans teen, no longer with us, from vaginoplasty complications during landmark Dutch study used to justify child sex changes. They killed somebody. Literally. It's not an outlier. It's not a theory. They did it.
June, what are you proud of? Because we
Look what they do. So when they're chopping off the breasts of girls or they're chopping off the boys' manhood, it leaves scars for life. And they're too young to make these decisions. They can't even go buy cigarettes, but you're chopping off body parts. You're altering their body chemistry. What's going on, Taryn? You're altering their body chemistry by stopping them from going through puberty in either direction. It can't be reversed. They keep saying, "Oh, that just go start taking hormones." That's not how it works. That's not how the human body works. They are mutilating kids.
We have some issues that we need to talk.
This was Rachel Levine of the last administration, who was over public health. Should not be limited. They should not limit the access to gender affirming care. Nobody can really explain what that means, but that's what they're doing. That's what they want. This to them is normal. They are full speed ahead. So when I say they're coming for your kids, it's not to scare anybody. It's not rhetoric. This person was the head of public health in the last administration. For 8 years, for 8 years, this person, I don't know if they were the whole term, but this trans person who doesn't even know who he is was over the health of your kids, making blanket declarations about your children. What's going on, Baker Man Jr.?
We're fighting back from inside the community. Join gays against groomers in the battle against radical gender ideology.
Every time I hit this topic, I bring them up because I'm showing you guys that it's not about the community. It's about very specific elements of the community that are pushing this stuff to the point where people within that community have to say, no, this is not who we are. We are not about this. We are not about messing with these kids. So it's about taking an even worse turn. Because if you thought it couldn't get worse,
that is destroying our youth.
I can imagine this.
This person is upset about actually, they're going to explain it. I'll just let it play.
This is a pretty intense day.
It is an intense day, and it's intense to watch my clients talk about their experience as parents. And you and I are both fathers, and I think we, as many other parents, have had the experience of sitting in our doctor's office with our child and our doctor and making decisions together about what our children need. And what this case.
And you can see on the bottom, Supreme Court upholds a ban on trans care for minors. This is what he's upset about. He, she, they. This is what they're upset about. Like, this is... How can you be upset about stopping little kids from being transitioned? What's going on, Paul Thomas? To even be upset means they need to investigate this person.
Case is about, at its core, is that Tennessee lawmakers came into that doctor's office and decided they know best and displaced that careful, reasoned judgment of those parents in Tennessee. And that is unimaginable and should be unimaginable.
Unimaginable.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
I find it so, what an invasion of this sacrosanct thing of getting your kid medical care or psychological, whatever care it is.
You hear those words? Medical care, psychological care? No, you're trying to mutilate children and alter their lives forever. And it's not repairable. But he's outraged that they would stop or they would prevent the kid from getting care. Well, what care? You're literally trying to change the kid's life. And they're using these words. Yes, sir. Key words. Community, not family. Care, not mutilation. Not hormones, not all life-altering events. They're using these words. This is what I cannot believe. Let's go back just a little bit. I can't believe they would do
fathers. And I think we, as many other parents, have had the experience of sitting in our doctor's office with our child and our doctor and making decisions together about what our children need. And what this case is about at its core is that Tennessee lawmakers came into that doctor's office and decided they know best and displaced that careful, reasoned judgment of those parents in Tennessee. And that is unimaginable and should be unimaginable for any parent.
I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
I find it so, what an invasion of this sacrosanct thing of getting your kid medical care or psychological.
They just flipped it. If you really pay attention to what they're doing, they just flipped it. And they made it about the parents now all of a sudden. So first they say the parents don't have these rights. There are kids. And I'm going to play videos on that, right? And what they did was they said these legislators are attacking the parents, or they're protecting those parents' kids because they're bad parents. We all have rights. We all have the same rights. I don't care how old you are. This is where the abortion argument comes into play. What's going on, Uncle L? This is where that argument comes into play. You have a right to be a human, in my opinion. I don't care how old you are. So if you have a baby, in my opinion, you have these certain rights. But what they're saying is these parents can make a judgment call for the kids, not about where they go to school, not about how they're raised, but how they grow up sexually. I don't understand what the obsession is with sex. I genuinely do not understand. I can't imagine trying to chop off body parts from my kids unless it's like gangrene or somewhere where they have to. What they're saying is the parents should be able to chop off body parts of their children. And it's an outrage that anyone would stop that.
But whatever care it is, that the government is going to tell you you can't do it.
And I think the reality to here, too, is as with all parents and as with all serious medical needs, they grappled with it for a long time and did their own research and talked to doctors and talked to experts. And then finally, they come to a conclusion based on the recommendation of doctors, based on their own research, based on watching their child deteriorate. And then they get this medical care. They watch their child improve. That feeling of seeing your kid come back. And the government comes in and says, no, we're taking this away. And that is what today the Supreme Court greenlit in their 6-3 decision in Scrimeti.
What is a family that has a...
Here's another one you have to listen carefully because there's some talking in the background. But this conversation is wild.
Trans kid today, how are they getting treatment when it's banned? Is it like with abortion where they can go to another state, or what are people actually doing that are facing this issue directly?
Sure. That's a good question. Yes, it is still legal for Texas transgender adolescents to receive gender-affirming care in other states. It's just really hard to get there. Thank goodness there are other organizations, both state organizations and national organizations, that are helping families navigate how to get that care, whether it's traveling to other states or even a lot of families are moving if they have the means to do so. But it's really hard to do that. It's expensive. It's uprooting support.
A state that Texans are going to for affirming treatment that is more common? Are they going to California? Like, where are people going to, or is it our surrounding states?
There's not many surrounding states, but that's a good question. The closest to us is New Mexico.
So hopefully you can hear it because there's a lot going on in the background, but they're talking about how parents could get their little kids gender affirming care outside of the states that say, yeah, we're not doing that. So in particular here, they're talking about Texas, where it's illegal to mutilate children. So what they're saying is, hey, so what do? How do you mutilate the children? We need to mutilate these children. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's what they're saying. Well, what state can you go to chop off your kids' body parts? We need to figure this out.
To Albuquerque, which is a long way, it's a long drive. A lot of families are finding care in Washington State, Oregon, Colorado, Massachusetts, New York, and all of those are really far away.
Is there any organizations that are providing funding or any government programs that are actually able to, through organizations, help these families actually get there? Travel is not
cheap. No, it's not.
A hotel room's $120 or something.
Exactly. I'm not aware of any government programs, for sure not Texas government programs, and definitely not any national government programs.
Or Harris County.
Not that I'm aware of. And frankly, I think government funding there's a lot of strings attached, and it can go away depending on who's in charge.
It's better if the money doesn't come from taxes.
That's my opinion. But there are organizations. One of the most, the largest and the most helpful is an organization called Campaign for Southern Equality.
Again, pay attention to the words. There's an organization called Campaign for Southern Equality that will help parents transport their children to other states, from states that ban access to mutilation for your kids. And this is, I guess this is normal.
They are providing.
They can provide help for Houston families.
Yes, they can provide. They're actually now providing help to families all over the country.
So, an organization that has the word equality in its name is not about equality. It's about mutilating children and transporting kids across state lines to do it. How you doing, Ms. Baker? This is the world we're living in right now. You got to pay attention. This is real. This is not something just being thrown out there as rhetoric to scare people. This is real. What's going on, CP3?
Because it's not a Texas problem or a Southern problem anymore. It's a national problem. And so they provide navigational help for families to find those clinics and doctors and transportation help. They provide micro grants. They're doing really, really great work. And there's a lot of other smaller organizations in different states that are doing similar work to help those families that are either looking for the care, refugee families from states that they're trying to find that health care for their kids.
So that equality organization, and many like it, that's their sole purpose. And this is where they found a lot of the USAID money was going when Doge first came out and started looking into stuff. This is the kind of stuff that they were funding, NGOs, non-government organizations. They were giving money to organizations like that. So now she's saying, "Oh, it's not a good thing. We don't want the government in it," because they stripped money from so many organizations that were doing stuff like this. This is a trans story hour. I forget what they call it. But there are parents like these sick people in the back that you can see with children. These are the type of people who would take their kids across state lines to mutilate themselves. They can't make that kind of decision. They can't. Most of the time, honestly, to be honest with you, I won't even make my son get a haircut he doesn't like. I'll let him at least have some input, right? Unless he goes crazy with it. These people are trying to change their kids' biology and chemistry. The same guy with his daughter on his lap, hopefully it's his daughter, is watching this person in the green and whatever this is read kid stories to them. What can go wrong there? Here's another one. What's wrong with this? There's nothing wrong with this, right? They're normalizing stuff that's not normal. As a matter of fact, it's really, really rare. But they want to make it mainstream so that these little girls think that this is normal. What's wrong with? There's nothing wrong with these guys. So when they see them in a bathroom somewhere, they're not scared. They should be, but they're not. That's not a big deal. So when my daughters were younger, if we were living in this age, I would have to take them into a bathroom where I can at least monitor and make sure there's no guys in there. If there's going to be a guy in there, it's going to be me stopping guys from like this from being in there. You can't just let them go in the restroom anymore. See this one. This is a good one right here. Look at this. This is normal. Nothing wrong with this. All across the country, how you doing, Miss Highly Favored? All across this nation, there are schools, there are what's left of libraries, and there are places where kids can interact with these type, these type of adults, and they shouldn't be able to interact with them. Unfortunately, like in the first picture that I showed you, there are parents who have no issue with this. They promote it. They're good with it. What can go wrong? Here's one, one of my favorites, because of course, I'm not going to say that. All right. This is sick. I'm just going to say that. And this poor black boy, with a big smile on his face, as innocent as can be, is being put in this situation. Here's the worst one, because it's all black kids. And this is why I was talking about earlier. They are pushing this agenda, and they're using us, they're using our women, and they're using alternative men, black men, to do this. This is where our kids are. This is why they don't want family. This is why they don't want the mother being at home. This is why they don't want the father being involved at all. So they can do this and create a whole new Democrat base. This is disgusting. This is the most infuriating one of all of those. And I saved it for this one because it's like, oh, this is what we're doing with black kids? Okay. It's an agenda. It's not rhetoric. They are coming for your children. And if you don't be careful and pay attention, look at how happy these kids are. They know no better. They're kids. They're as innocent as can be. They can be swayed. They can be taught things are normal that aren't. This is disgusting. The makeup alone. You're not putting makeup on my daughters. This is sick. It's sick. This person here, I'm gonna blow this one up just so you guys understand who this is. Went a little too far. This one, the president and CEO of Cream City Foundation, which is a disgusting name. I don't even want to know what that means. Which is responsible for drag queen story time, has been arrested for possession of child images and stuff and videos. This is after it was found that some of the drag queens were registered offenders that had swapped, you can't see it on here, that had swapped information with some of the children. That's what the rest of it said. That's what it says. Hold on. That it swapped social media details with children. So while they're up there reading these kiddie books and these parents are holding on to their kids, these people are giving their kids their IG. Oh, here's my TikTok. It's evil. But if you're not involved, what do? Your kids are just out there in this world. How you doing, Mr. Kimi? What's going on? Henry, what's going on? It's Is it surprising that the person who started Drag Queen Hour or Story Time or whatever it's called was arrested for child images and videos? Is it a surprise to anybody? Why else would they push something like this? Well, it's about to get worse. Here we go.
Y'all are a bunch of transphobic pieces of
Right there on the wall, you can see, hold on. A little bit too far back. Sorry, I got to get better at that. But on the wall, it shows that that's the Chino, some school district in Chino, California. Let's see. So this is a school board meeting. Chino Unified School District. Yep.
y'all are a bunch of transphobic pieces of shit. I hope y'all all burn in hell. Ah, hell, Satan, bitches!
We won't be burning in hell, ma'am.
Y'all are really afraid of authenticity and people being their own true selves. You're afraid of love. You're afraid of solidarity. Y'all are crazy for that. Absolutely crazy. I'm on my way.
It's over.
Just wait.
And all of you came here just to kiss Sonia's fucking ass.
What's your police officer?
Pathetic!
CPS. So there's kids there. Clearly, you can hear kids in the background. They went to a school district meeting or board meeting, whatever it was. They infiltrated it. So one of the trans people can yell, "Hail Satan," and the other one can convince everyone in there how they're evil for not, I don't even know what the point is, for not allowing or accepting transgenderism in the school. I don't know. But like I said, it's going to get worse. This is an investigation that was done into CPS. This is not brand new. But listen.
CPS is the agency that's charged with protecting children.
Its investigators and caseworkers make decisions that impact the lives of thousands of Texas families.
So who are the people making these life-changing decisions?
Before they go on, remember what I said. They go to red states on purpose to infiltrate. You would never think something like this happens in Texas or Florida or any of the strong red states. But here they are infiltrating, and watch this. This is going to bother you. Trigger warning. Like I said, as my presentations go, it leads closer and closer to the title of my lives. This is what I do. It's going to get worse. I'm telling you now.
CBS 42 investigative reporter Nancy Wilson looked into the backgrounds of child welfare workers. What she found may surprise you.
Assault, burglary, DWI, theft, domestic violence, indecent exposure, prostitution, possession of cocaine and marijuana, and selling alcohol to minors. What do all of these crimes have in common? They are just some of the crimes committed by people who work for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. That's right, the agency in charge of protecting Texas children. We found more than 370 employees have a criminal background. Some have direct contact with foster kids.
He was really uncomfortable to be around. He always wanted to be a little too close.
Here's one, yeah. Ashley Gallardo is talking about one of her former caseworkers. Romanus Ike was arrested and charged with indecent exposure after being caught performing a sex act on himself in a public park. He later pled guilty to a reduced charge of disorderly conduct.
God, this guy was in my life. He was in charge of me and my brothers. He made decisions for us.
She was shocked to learn of his past.
At that time, I'm going to school. I'm a young girl, and this guy, what he did is disgusting. It's really just perverted, and it's disgusting. That's all I can say. Like, how could anybody let him be around kids? Like,
just think about this. You're a parent. Somebody calls CPS on you because, I don't know, they heard your kid screaming. Maybe they thought they were getting beaten. Whatever the reason is. And this guy shows up. And he has the power to take your kids from you. This pervert who got arrested for performing sex acts is in charge of your kids. In the great state of Texas, you have criminals in charge of your children, and nobody thought that they should pass federal background checks repeatedly, nonstop. He was in charge of this young lady and her foster brother. This is the world we're living in. I'm telling you, it is not rhetoric. They are coming for your kids. They are.
that's just gross.
It was no secret that at the time of his arrest, he worked for CPS. It's written on his bail bond. That was in 1998, and he's still on the job. Richard Landon was arrested for indecent exposure in 1997, and in 1994, he was arrested for prostitution after soliciting an undercover cop. He also works for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Cordelia Jones is a CPS investigator. She's currently on probation for a drug possession charge out of Williamson County. This CPS investigator, Cynthia Creighton, has numerous criminal cases in her background. She still owes $193 in fines for driving with an invalid license. David Mendoza pled guilty to assault with bodily injury to a family member and violating a protective order. He's a CPS supervisor in El Paso.
It's unacceptable.
State Representative Pat Rose chairs the committee that oversees the agency.
I think there are several solutions. The first is to make sure we get all background checks from across all states and any convictions. We can do that by requiring an FBI fingerprint background check on the front end of employment.
Why is this a new idea? These people make decisions that can alter kids' lives forever and parents' lives forever. Full families, they can destroy them. They can choose to say, you're not fit to be a parent. I'm taking your kids with you right now. The police show up, grab your kids, take them out of your home. And you have perverts doing it, and criminals, and violent people. They show up at your door. That one lady was an actual investigator. I mean, she goes to homes and interviews kids and makes decisions right there on the spot. Now, obviously, there's a court date, but they can take your kids there on the spot if they think that they're in danger. And these are the people who are deciding that. And now it's a new idea. I don't know when this was. I just know it's old. You could tell it's old. But how is it a new idea? Exactly. How is it a new idea? We need to do background checks and check the fingerprints. Why was that not established before you even started sending people to other people's homes with the power to take their children?
And then as we move forward, we have to have annual background checks here to make sure that all current employees who have direct access to kids don't have these convictions.
I would have them do it every 3 months. Why wait yearly? People are crazy. We never know what can happen in a year. Quarterly, maybe. Why is this new information? Oh, this is what we can do to stop criminals from making decisions on our kids. Like, this is a new idea?
Ashley Gallardo agrees.
We trust these people. They're all we have in the end because we're just taken away from our families. That's all we have.
Now, this one is terrifying. Because that person in the corner up there, this is, of course, in Colorado, I think Boulder or somewhere in Colorado. Where it's circled, it's this person trying to grab a child. The person fell, thank God, and the child got away. And then I'm going to play the story out. I told you guys it's going to get worse. I'm trying to show you information to lead you to understand how serious it is that my title is real. They are coming for your kids. This person literally was going after little kids. And I want you guys to see what happens. The kids run away. Mel. And he gave up on the... Thank God he gave up on the pursuit. Otherwise, he would have had a kid. Oh, Miss Hakimi, he's right. He's right.
This happened at Black Forest Hills Elementary School on Friday afternoon. A phone call to parents said the man entered school property, engaged with students, and then left. Then this afternoon, the school district sent out an email to parents informing them this man, 33-year-old Solomon Galligan, had been arrested and charged with attempted kidnapping. That email to parents from the principal of the school, Amanda Replug, says right after the incident, staff brought students inside from recess and called district security. In another letter, she says the school safety team will convene tomorrow to review security protocols, and there will be increased supervision this week.
The person accused...
Now, listen to the language that they're using. First, they just said somebody infiltrated school grounds and left. They didn't say exactly what happened. And I kind of understand not wanting to scare the hell out of parents and have them all leaving work and come to the school. But a kid was he literally tried to abduct the child. So at least that kid's parents should have been notified. It's got to be traumatic. It has to be for the kid. The first person they probably wanted to see when they almost got snatched by a stranger that looked like that, probably their parents, their father, most likely, and their mother. But that's not what they did. They sent an email. And they called the parents, said, hey, something happened, but the person's gone. Now, listen to the story again, because they're not identifying this person and what's really wrong with this person. They're just saying something kind of happened.
Accused of trying to grab a 5th grader from a Cherry Creek school playground last year is incompetent to stand trial. And for the 4th time in 7 years, that person will see the charges dropped because of incompetency, though they're being transferred to a mental health facility. Kids at Black Forest Hills Elementary School yelled, "Stranger danger." Solomon Galligan is accused of trying to grab a 5th grader at recess in April 2024. Almost 1 year ago, Galligan was found incompetent to stand trial.
So this is the 4th time. Yes, Mel. 3 other times this person was deemed not able to be prosecuted. Not in a Joe Biden kind of way, in a worse way. This person's crazy. We can't prosecute.
News Investigates looked into Galligan's criminal history and found felony charges dropped twice in 2021 and again in 2018 because Galligan was found incompetent to stand trial. A spokesman for the Arapahoe County District Attorney's Office, which will be dropping the charges, tells us Galligan is not being released to the public, but is being released to a mental health facility.
Here's the actual story. It was a transgender offender. Why did they leave that out of the story? Because it would terrify people. And it's not that he may walk free. He's going to walk free. He's just not going to do any time for attempted kidnapping. He's going to be sent to a place where they're going to give him meds and ask him a bunch of questions. While he was trying to take someone's child, there should be no chance to ever get free. But this person has gotten away with it 4 times. Now 4 times.
But the point that I made in my conversation with the woman from Moms for Liberty is that they are making themselves the expert on books, which they are deeming pornographic by using a site called booklooks.com, looking for words in the book that make them uncomfortable, and then attempting to ban books by the hundreds.
Out of interest, but just to be clear,
And so I asked her,
do you think books? All right. Do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
Again, you're taking a book that has multiple subjects, and you're taking this award-winning book and.
So she's saying because there are other things in there besides strap-on dildos. There's other topics in there. It's a good book. It won an award. Listen to the question he asked and listen to how she answered. She completely disregards the strap-on dildos in a child book. How you doing, Miss Eve? Listen to this. This is insane. A lot of people focus on other parts of this interview. I honed in on this, like, wait, what did she just say?
Booklooks.com, looking for words in the the book that make them uncomfortable, and then attempting to ban books by the hundreds.
Out of interest, but just to be clear,
And so I asked her,
do you think books? All right. Do you think school children at school should have access to books in their library which involve strap-on dildos?
Again, you're taking a book that has multiple subjects, and you're taking this award-winning book and dumbing it down to
I just asked you a simple question.
You may feel uncomfortable. And the bottom line is, these books that were published by publishers who had an opportunity to say no, looked at these books. These are award-winning books, and I think parents should have the opportunity to opt their children out if they don't feel comfortable reading those books, but that children who are old enough and who are of age and can choose the books they want to read and may.
In elementary school, there should be absolutely no instance where Chapter 4, subject strap-on dildos, should be put in the school at all. Shouldn't even be an option. Shouldn't even be a thought. Shouldn't even have to ask the parents. It's just Chapter 4. Don't worry about it. Chapter 3 is really good. This is insane. And this is her stance. Yeah, but the parents, they could get a choice. They don't give us a list of their books. They really don't. You have to really pay attention to the schools and really pay attention to the classes to know what. Like, it's not like they hand out syllabus for 4th grade, 3rd grade. This is insanity.
Feel seen in a book that you might object to ought to have the opportunity to read that book. That shouldn't be your decision. It shouldn't be Moms for Liberty's decision. I think each parent can make the decision for their own children. And I don't think that woman from Moms for Liberty or her organization should make that decision for other people's children.
I'm not going to make an excuse for a mom who works a lot and father's not there. I'm not going to make an excuse for parents who are too busy. But what about those instances where mom can't get down to the school to see if there's strap-on dildos on page 6 to make the decision that I don't want my kids seeing that? What about those instances? How about the default be to not have books with strap-on dildos in elementary schools? Instead of saying, well, we'll put the books in there, and if the parents complain, we'll remove it. No. The default should be the other way around. But in these sick people's heads, everything should be available to children until somebody catches us. This is insanity.
People ought to make decisions for their own children. And by the way, one more thing I'll add is that in the state of Florida, parents can opt their children out of reading books that they don't want to read.
All right, let me ask you.
She could have done that like any other parent.
We're gay, but we're in Barnes & Nobles,
and there's a kids book section, a gay kids book section, and this shit is crazy. Look at this. Okay, there's the gay BCs, right?
This is insane.
Bye Bye Binary. Bye Bye Binary with a mohawk on a baby. Gay BCs, you're not ready. Can you hold this? Okay.
So this is before your kids can read. They're already putting out the Gay BC book. So you can read it to your kids, you know, because that's normal. This is in Barnes and Nobles. Like, now that Barnes and Nobles used to be huge. A lot of them are closed down. Borders Books was another one of them. Huge, huge, huge. It was a big deal. But now that in the digital age, it's not as big of a deal. But you can still go in to a Barnes and Noble every now and then. There's like, it's like down to one per major city, I think. Like they used to be everywhere. But this is in an actual bookstore. The Gay BCs. There's a market for it, clearly. Somebody's buying this. Somebody's showing this to children. Before they can read and identify letters, they're already implanting it. The title of my live is They're Coming for Your Children. I'm not joking. This is not a joke. This is as real as it gets.
What? A is for arrow and ace. B is for bi. This is crazy. We're gay, but this is crazy. What? For a baby?
This is insane.
Okay, E is for equality. We'll take that. F is for family. Okay, we're getting better. Okay, why did it start so crazy? Just for hope. It got better.
It didn't get better because it's still a book called the Gay BCs. So even in their understanding that it's not good, they're agreeing with some of it. That's a bad thing. The book is trash. That's it. Really simple. That should be the end of it. The book is trash. Should not be sellable to minors. And of course, a minor can't just walk in and buy that. So there are parents out there that are buying this. I'm all for free speech. But when you start going after kids, we need to look at some of this stuff. We really need to look at some of this stuff. But they're kind of okay. Well, it's not that. B is for equality. Yeah, but 2 pages ago, you said B is for bi. You can't just accept some of the pages on something like this. But because they're scared to fully commit to this book being evil, they're going to, it's not that bad. It's all right. B's for bi. Yeah, okay.
I is for intersex. It's pushing it. For a baby, this is pushing it.
J is for joy.
J is for joy. We'll take Tio and Tio. That looks nice. Forgot this one. K is for Kiki. Oh wait, I guess there's no gay word for M.
Being a good activist is...
This is, I told you it's going to keep getting worse. This person is a teacher somewhere, and they're teaching kids on activism. And of course, there's rainbows and queer stuff for kids and all that in the background. They are coming for your kids. They're not even hiding it. This stuff is all readily available. They're doing it in schools. They're doing it on programming.
Sort of like baking a pie.
What?
First, we need to make the pie crust, and that takes a couple of ingredients. The first ingredient is privilege. Remember when we talked about privilege?
Privilege?
Yeah. You and Allie sang a song about the monkey bars.
You have such a good memory, Teddy. Exactly. So understanding privilege, that's our first ingredient. If you don't remember what privilege is, you can rewatch our video on privilege or sing along to our privilege song, then come right back here.
What's the next ingredient?
Our next ingredient is intersectionality.
Oh, I remember. It's about all the parts of identity.
Exactly. So practicing intersectionality and remembering that all the parts of our identity together have to do with our privilege is...
This is more than absurd, Ms. Deja Vu. This is evil. They are trying to indoctrinate children in the hopes that parents aren't paying attention, because 9.999 parents will not stand for this nonsense. So they're just doing that to make it seem like this is normal until we get caught. Then we're sorry. We'll take it off. Well, you already got some little kid listening to this fake doll explain intersectionality to your children.
The second ingredient. You can rewatch that episode too if you need to jog your memory.
No, thank you.
Is there another ingredient?
The next ingredient is actually a couple ingredients together that we're going to add separately because that's all about being a good ally.
And there are 3 parts to being a good ally.
Yep. They're remembering to respect other people, listen to other people, and learn from other people. You can rewatch that one too if you need to.
No, thank you. I'm gonna do a little bit more. I'm gonna do a deep dive on this because I have the original video, and I'm gonna look to see if this is approved for kids on YouTube. If it's not, I don't do the flagging thing, but I want to see if this is age appropriate, or not appropriate, if it's age restricted. I'm gonna check. Just curious.
A lot of stuff to make an activist pie, Lindsay. You're so good at it.
Well, all it takes is practice, Teddy. So now we have to mix it all together and roll it out into a pretty pie crust, and there you go.
But...
What is it, Teddy?
It's just a crust. It's not a pie yet. It needs its inside.
Well, that's where you come in.
I'm the filling?
Oh, no, Teddy.
You.
The filling is all about you and your activism. It's about how you want to make change and what you want to change.
So you got to respect it. You got to be an ally, and you got to be an activist. This is real. I didn't make this. You got to be an activist. You got to fight for us if you're an ally. This is straight up indoctrination.
You can put anything you want in your pie.
Anything you want.
LGBTQ plus stuff?
Exactly right, Teddy. LGBTQ plus stuff is definitely in my pie and YouTube videos. That's one way I like to be an activist.
I'm gonna find out.
Videos.
So I could put protest in my pie.
I told you it's going to keep getting worse. This Texas teacher, of course, again, they infiltrate the red states. Texas teacher who was fired for telling kids don't judge people for wanting to have sex with 5-year-olds and asking them to call pedos minor attracted persons. In disturbing classroom clip posted to TikTok. You mean to tell me it's the first time she's ever done something suspect? I find that really hard to believe. Really hard to believe. But again, Gays Against Grooming are the ones who posted this, which is why I left it up there. There are people within the community that are really against this stuff. But this is not the first time something like this has happened. It's not. It can't be. I refuse to believe that. This person, let's make this one bigger because this is interesting. Meet Erica Almain Ranky, or whatever her name is. Former teacher at Milwaukee, whatever MPS is. She pled guilty to charges of misconduct and disorderly conduct as she was accused of sexting and inappropriately touching 4 students. She reportedly offered favors to students as a way of apologizing for her inappropriate messages that she texted. So after she was caught sending them messages, she offered them favors to apologize. She would also rub the students' bodies and say if they had children together, they'd be so beautiful. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation. I don't understand how that's only 2 years of probation, but she was sentenced to 2 years of probation, which includes 6 months in jail, followed by a privilege release that allows her to leave jail to work. So she's able to leave home, come and go as she pleases, but she's confined. I don't know where she's allowed to work. Is she still working at the school? I highly doubt that. This person is literally predatory against kids. Why is she allowed to leave? I don't understand that. Do you understand that?
We've always had kind of a private notion of children. Your kid is yours and totally your responsibility. We haven't had a very collective notion of these are our children. So part of it is we have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities. Once it's everybody's responsibility and not just the households, then we start making better investments.
There you go. It's not about family. It's about the community. They're our kids. They're not your kids. No. My daughters were mine until they were passed on to another man. My son is mine until he leaves my home. They're not ours. But you have this school board meeting where they're saying the same type of stuff.
It is time to make sure that we protect our communities and our city from the policy that is coming. I want to leave you with the words of James Baldwin.
James Baldwin, what a great role model. I don't know why he's held in such high regard. I don't know why his philosophy is beloved. But I do know who he is or who he was. And he was all about this life. In the words of the late, great James Baldwin.
The children are always ours. Every single one of them, all over the globe. And I am beginning to suspect that whoever is incapable of recognizing this may be incapable of morality. That is who we are fighting for to you. From Gaza to Little Village to Oak Hills and all over the country,
the children are all ours. This is in Chicago. This is in Chicago, but she said Little Village. From Gaza to Chicago, the kids are all of ours. No, they're really not.
Every single one of them. And it is our duty to fight for them.
Most of us.
It is our duty to fight for them. This is the last little section, but it's the most disturbing because I got to end like that. I told you it was going to get worse. I wasn't kidding. I probably should have bleeped the P word because they're going to say it a lot. It's disgusting. This is a TED Talk. This was done in 2018. You can read the bottom. It says, scholars say pedos is now a sexual orientation that should be accepted by members of society. Great. This is what they believe. This is the one that actually made me do this whole live stream. I'm like, oh, no. So everything else was supporting and leading up to this.
Feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles.
So if my video disappears, it will be available on Rumble, and I'll just have to probably bleep out this P word because they're going to say it a lot. And I'm like, oh man, I forgot to take that out when I rendered the video and completely forgot that I needed to censor this. But I'm not monetized, so worst case scenario, I have to bleep it out.
But just like pedophiles,
say it over.
We are not responsible for our feelings.
Really?
We do not choose them. But we are responsible for our actions. And we must make a decision. It is our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles.
Don't think negatively of them. It's just feelings that they have. They want your kids. Doesn't mean they're going to act on it. So we need to accept this with a straight face. No boos, nobody getting up and walking out. So there's an audience for this. There's a demographic that's saying, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad that these grown-ups want children.
And to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with.
Normalizing. Sorry. This one. They want to normalize minor attracted persons. That's what they refer to them as. Pedos for everyone else. It's normal. Treat them with the same respect. They're not hurting anybody. It's just how they feel. Wait till they do something to your kid. Then we can deal with it.
Should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality, and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life.
Oh no. So they're actually victims in all this. They're never going to be able to live their lives freely without going to jail. We need to respect this. They're coming for your children. If this doesn't make it crystal clear, I don't know what does.
We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
Yes. From an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society.
She can kind of understand. I don't agree with it, but I can kind of see where you're coming from. If somebody's staring at your little kid, I can see where that can be a little uncomfortable, and why you would want to eliminate these people from society. No, you can't, because you wouldn't say it that way. It's all in the phrasing.
However, it doesn't make sense. And that's because we're talking about biology. We're talking about a sexual orientation, something that we simply cannot change. And on top of that, every day new people are born with the same difficulty. So it's not practical to eliminate these people from society. They haven't done anything wrong.
It's not a laughter of is this funny? It's a laughter of it's disgusting, and I can't believe that these people are out there. That's my presentation for today. I saw that first TED Talk one. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I kind of been touching on this topic anyway. I did a couple lives before the Epstein one where I'm focusing on this, and everyone's like, this is uncomfortable. It's sick. It is. But if we don't talk about it, it becomes normalized, and we're kind of endorsing it by not saying anything. I'm not saying you are endorsing it, but I'm saying you're kind of, if you just ignore a problem, you assume it's going to go away. It's kind of like driving around, your oil is at zero. You really can't complain when your car stops. You really can't. The light's been on. It's stuttering. We got to say something, and these people are sick, and you just got to say it. You're sick. Don't play along with it. Don't go with it. It's disgusting. It's uncomfortable because we're almost being forced to not want to talk about it because of different language restrictions, and you get made to feel some kind of way, like you're discriminating against protected class of society of the LGBs. But it's not those. That's who they have sex with. They're adults, no problem. It's when you start introducing it to the children, it becomes a problem. I'm O Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share, because why not? Miss 27, thank you so much for stopping by. Paul, thank you so much. WabbitTube Network, appreciate you, sir. CP3, spare me your angst over on Rumble, appreciate you. Bakerman Jr., thank you. Miss Deja Vu, Taryn the Black, Just Jay. There was a lot of people in there today. Lou, thank you, sir. Miss Akimi, I appreciate you. Paul Thomas, I think I just said you, but I'll say it again because I don't remember. I don't want to ignore anybody or forget anybody. I said CP3. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, Paul. I said Lou. I said Baker, man. Miss Just J. Did I say Miss Just J? I always feel bad if I forget somebody, so I'd rather repeat it more than once. Miss Eve, thank you for stopping by. Uncle L, as always, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you, man. Mel Dub, of course, thank you, sir. I appreciate you for stopping by, as always. G Will, thank you so much, sir. Kwame Brown stopped in. I appreciate you, sir. J Country Boy Dub, I appreciate you, man. And I really think it's cool that people are not allowed, but cool with being in an atmosphere where not everybody will agree on other things, just to listen and watch. You don't have to. We don't have to do anything else. Henry Caldwell, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. I said Miss Deja Vu. What else was in here? A lot of people in here, man. I appreciate you all. I really, really genuinely do. I'm still scrolling while I throw in filler words. Lovey, I appreciate you, young lady. Thank you so much. I think I got you all. pretty sure, but I want to make sure. Miss Phoenix Rising. Sorry. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know if it's shareable. Mrs. Baker was in here. Thank you so much. But I mean, I don't think we should be scared to talk about this. Miss Highly Favored was in here. I appreciate you, of course. Let's see. I think I said spare me your angst already. Thank you, Miss Duran. I'm almost at the top. I scroll the other way because I know I'll in this live people come in afterward. Let's see, not the other way around. I think that's everyone. If I missed you, I genuinely apologize. I really do. I think I said Lou L. Wallace was in here. I appreciate you, sir. Man, there's more people. I wasn't paying attention to how many people were in here. A lot of people in here. Chat was moving. TP, appreciate you, sir. Almost missed you. Miss Mika, thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. Anyway, if you're a content creator and you're not on Rumble, I think you're making a mistake. Mike Levin, thank you. And the reason is for lives like this, where it's most likely something's gonna happen where I'm gonna have to correct it. They don't do that on Rumble, so it'll be available. Not as many people over there are as active when it comes to live streaming, unless you're like really famous. But it still stores your videos over there, so you don't have to rely on StreamYard to keep your videos or a hard drive. Rumble is a very good mode. Every time I go live, it automatically goes to Rumble. There's not that many people over there who are watching it, but again, it can store your live in its original form. I think it's a mistake to not do that. Other than that, I'm going to post my X. If you're on X, follow me there. Why can't I paste it? There we go. If you're on X, follow me there. Say what's up. I'm pretty active on there. And for the Rumble people, you can share my YouTube channel. For the YouTube people, you can share my Rumble channel. And lastly, if you would like to bless the channel, I will not complain. It's not necessary, of course, but I won't complain. I know a lot of people like to show appreciation that way. So absolutely, I have no issues with it. I'm extremely grateful. It took me a while to get used to that, but it is what it is. So again, O Speaks, I'm going to leave with CeeLo Green, Gnarls Barkley, on one of my favorite songs. Like, subscribe, share again.